Hi everyone, this is Paul Tamayo for Kotaku.com, and I'm checking out Overland. This is a 3D survival tactics game. It's a game that has sort of captivated me in a lot of ways that I wasn't anticipating. I was kind of intrigued by the premise and the art style, and I've been seeing GIFs and videos on social media, so I decided to jump in yesterday, and I've been pretty captivated by the game for a lot of different reasons. So I figured I'd jump into it, especially because I've been trying to keep up with all the games that have been coming out. There's so much quality stuff out right now, and I didn't want to let this opportunity go by and at least show off the game a little bit in video form. Our very own Riley McLeod has written about it on the site, so I would definitely go check that out if you want to see his impressions as well. But let's just start off on the East Coast just to show off a little bit of what the game is about, and then if we have time, maybe I'll jump into the mountains area. So I'm going to start off from the new save. I know it's a new save. It's totally fine. And with this game, you're going to be totally fine having to start over again because that's just the kind of game that it is. So for the uninitiated, like I said at the top of the video, this game is a 3D survival tactics game. And each level is divided up into days. And here we see my character. It's all procedural too. So every time you start, the levels, the characters, they'll all be sort of randomized. And in this case, I got Caesar, and we got a little bit of flavor text about Caesar. He used to raise chickens, and he's scared of being left behind. You know what? Same. So we'll start off really slow. You'll see that every time I move, as with any sort of tactics game, that's his range of motion, and he has a specific amount of energy that he can expel, which is indicated by those little bars up top. Here we see someone in the road. Let's go chat with them. We can invite this stranger to be a part of our group, and it's very advantageous to at least start off with a couple folks, and sometimes you'll even get the opportunity to maybe even befriend a dog, which is really cool. So knowing that D here, who was early for work every day, kind of like me actually, and could use some soap for real. I mean, who can't, you know? So D, let's move him over here, knowing that he has a pipe to defend himself, and we see this little enemy over here in the corner. This is a very low-level enemy that can sort of be taken out with one hit, basically. So we've gone ahead and spent all of our turns, and very much like Into the Breach, which this game reminds me a lot of, you're seeing this sort of isometric perspective of a grid-based level. I haven't counted how many squares there are exactly, but maybe you in the video can do that. I won't waste your time. So it's very crucial. This game moves extremely slowly, and for me it feels like the perfect portable game, which is why I think it's going to be really fun to play this like on something like an iPad or an iPhone, or maybe even on your Switch if you want to play it that way. I haven't checked the Switch version to see if it has touch controls, but I would be surprised if it didn't, because I feel like this game really benefits from having a just more precise range of interaction, because I'm playing with the controller on PC, and like you can come to expect, it's a lot easier to control with a mouse and keyboard. I mean, you're just clicking on things as opposed to moving an analog stick around. So we already have a med kit in there, so we don't necessarily need this, but let's switch over to D. So now I'm using D's abilities here. If I highlight the enemy, I can select it, and then I can hit kill. Thankfully, this pipe has a lot of durability. Some weapons will break after repeated use. In this case, that one doesn't. So we're gonna move closer to this car, which I believe, yeah. So he'll give you some little contextual dialogue there that'll tell you like, oh, you can actually search this thing. So in this case, our car is already full. We only have one space, or one sort of inventory space. So I've already taken that up with a med kit that the game already started me off with. I have one in my hand, so I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to that one and hop in the car. And like I said before, the game's real slow, so you have to actually you can drive the car, you just have to make sure to turn it on and switch over to the driving mode, because I have definitely forgotten to do that in the past. Again, much like Into the Breach, we've got enemies en route. And oh look, another pipe. See, in this case it might be advantageous for me to go get that, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep it moving without the need for that. What's really cool is I can back up and I can highlight Caesar, and I can pull them in. So the game like doesn't really go out of its way to tell you everything you can do. It sort of encourages a lot of tinkering around and failing over and over again, which I have done plenty of in this game, because this game's difficulty ramps up really quickly and in ways that sometimes can feel a little unfair, but you really have to think about each move before you make it. And sometimes, and there's like really cool little moments here where you get to see a little bit of fleshing out of the characters as you wait between levels. And these levels are broken up by different locations, and you'll see in a second here we've got a map that we can use as our guide. And you always you basically go based off of what sort of resources you need or what you might want to risk trying to get. Now in this case, I think we might be okay with just the two of us. Let's try to get some more gas, I think, because gas is such a crucial resource in this game. That's the only way that you can progress. And you'll see as we move from right to left, the goal of the entire game is to move from the east coast all the way over to the west coast by car or by foot if you wind up losing a car or needing to escape an exploding car or whatever the case may be. So here we've got a little bit more of a spicy map here. We can move the camera around a little bit. One thing also, if you hit the little back button, you can zoom in, you can take photos, you can hide the overlay if you wanted to get some nice little screenshots, which I'm definitely going to do for this thumbnail in this video, which is hopefully why you might have clicked. Like maybe I'll just grab this thing. Who knows? So now that we know D has the ability to protect himself, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give him the prized task of being the enforcer here and making sure that we don't get got. See, now that was I mistakenly thought that I would kill that monster, but I didn't. So now we're in a bit of a pickle because I now have to maybe find a weapon to help Caesar out, because he's definitely going to get hit by that monster the next round. So let's pick this bottle up, and yeah, so we're gonna have to wind up using that medkit that I picked up previously. And that's kind of what happens in this game, is sometimes you'll make a crucial error, and in doing so, you'll pay for it like 3 or 4 moves down the road. And sometimes it'll even happen in a previous, because sometimes these levels will be broken up into different days. And there are times where you're like, you kind of really kick yourself for not having really thought out every little scenario that you should have. In that case, I just moved to a spot because I wanted to get to that dumpster so I could search for it, but I just realized there's a monster on the way out, so let's undo that move, and let's go turn this generator on, which should give me some lights. The other thing that's interesting about this game is the game, so let's get this out. So I take the med kit out of the car, gonna heal myself using whatever bit of energy I can. Now I should be back, that I have the ability to at least get that, that momentum back. So let's go over here. Let's look at these dumpsters. The other thing too that's really interesting is the game has a focus on sound. So these creatures that you're fighting against and protecting yourself against, trying to survive as you cross the country, they react to sound. You see there, since I turned that generator on, and since I am, so now I'll be able to siphon some gas from it, which again, extremely useful. I'll make my way back to the car here, but that should be enough to at least distract the enemies. Now you see here again, I've picked up even more gas, but I have this monster here to deal with now. So just kind of walking through this because I'm doing this in real time. I'm gonna hold my ground here. Let's take care of this little guy. See, but now we have another one peeking out of the ground there. I have a decision to make. Let's fill up the car first and foremost. Get some more gas in there. We're in decent shape, so let's get in. Might have to make a run for it. In this case, my gut wants me to hold out for the gas, but since I have pretty much 3 enemies getting close to the car, not really a great decision. So let's get back. Let's actually get over here, because at least D will be able to protect himself. And let's end the turn. Hopefully they won't be able to hit the car. Okay. So here's where it starts to get really into the breachy. So now you're like, there are moments where there are some levels where after you clear them, you sort of barely make it by the skin of your teeth. You're sort of crawling across the finish line. And that's how a lot of Into the Breach felt. But there are some times where this game can really ramp up that difficulty. And it'll feel like you are... Oh no, I got out of the car by accident. See, thankfully that undo button comes in handy, which I do all the time. So you have to actually hit the car, turn it on, move forward. In this case, we're gonna pick up, or actually he has a movement point, so we're gonna have him get his damn self in the car. And D can't move anymore, so, or Caesar can actually. So we'll just swerve around this guy, go to that square, hit escape. So we got some gas out of that deal. We wasted a med kit, which wasn't great, but you know, you can't win them all. Now in this case, you rinse and repeat. So that's the basic loop of this game, which is really, really interesting. So now that we have a decent amount of gas, we know that if we go here for supplies, in this case it might be a radio, which you can use to distract enemies with if you turn it on and drop it in a specific location, which is really useful if you start to get swarmed. You can get a bottle, which you can throw at stuff. You can get a stick, which obviously you can use to protect yourself by using a melee attack. But in doing so, we are spending 3, I don't know, gallons or whatever of gas to get there. So you really have to make some tough calls, especially later on in the game when it starts to really ramp up in difficulty and you're making really tough calls on who to sacrifice, who to save, who to protect. In this case, this one's going to be a tough one because now we're introducing another element, which is light. So we see there that little barrel and that generator there is providing a decent amount of light. We have D here who can, at the very least, protect himself should he get swarmed. So let's... Okay, made a good call there. I'm going to keep Caesar in the car because I don't know what's going to happen. So the problem is I'm going to have D go and get the gas because he has an extra inventory slot. So we'll pick up that gas there. And if I wanted to, what I might do here just to demonstrate, let's move a little closer and reveal a little bit more of that fog. That's as far as we can get. So my plan here is to grab Caesar and siphon a little bit more gas from that generator, so that way I won't have just 1/5 of a tank. I can fill that whole thing up. Oh, so you hear some noise, and of course the generator is going to be attracting the monsters our way. So let's... Oh, I guess I can't... It says it has 1/5 of gas. So I guess let's turn it off. I guess I'm going to have to waste a turn to do this. Then I should be able to do it. Okay, now I should be able to siphon some gas out of it. Let's have D here. Oh, can he search the mailbox? Oh, that's cool. Let's do that. Why not? I also heard some creatures coming from that sort of area. Alright, we're still doing alright. I don't think that mailbox was a successful endeavor. So let's fill... Oh, actually, no. We're going to siphon. I almost messed up there. So now we got 2/5 of a tank of gas. So we can start to make our way back. In this case, I'm going to move D over here. Give him the ability to search this car. And we got another med kit. So if I have a chance, maybe I'll come back for that med kit. But see, we're already seeing that the original intent of this trip here, I'm not really doing what I was trying to do originally, which was try to get some gas, or I'm sorry, try to get some supplies. Instead, I find myself trying to justify the need to just keep somebody alive. So we're gonna like kind of slowly make our way back over this way. Okay, now we see something is near that car. So again, the creatures take forever to make their way over to you, so they're never really like a huge immediate danger, because like I said earlier, things take a really long time to happen in this game. So you got a little bit of leeway. And the thing I really love about this game, and that reminds me of Into the Breach, is that like I can just sort of stare at the screen for a really long time before I even press a button, which is like the kind of game I love playing, especially if I want to commute or if I'm trying to kill some time. So we still have some movement here. It might be a decent idea to go back for that med kit, but I don't want to send Caesar out there by himself, so let's move him over here. It doesn't seem to be much in this direction, so we could just hedge our bets and get the heck out of Dodge, which I actually might do. And then I should be able to... Oh, no, I can't. Yeah, so there's a monster right there. So let's just get out of here and pull him in there. And now I should be able to turn the car on. And, oh, see, but we might have to move slowly. As you would if you were driving at night. See, like, if let's say if this was daytime, I would be able to just sort of drive directly around that barricade there. But because it's nighttime, we're slowly creeping through so we can at least get some visibility as we move forward. So, not a super exciting turn of events, but that's what the early game looks like. The cool thing is once you sort of break through different parts of the different locales, so in this case we're still in the East Coast segment of the game, you'll start to unlock more variety in the maps, and you'll get really cool chances to get like things like trucks or vans that have these little cool things that make it so that if you barrel through a barricade, that was tough to say, it won't hurt the car as much as if you were to do it like in a little dinky car like the one we have right now, which can only seat 2 people. So there's a benefit to getting out there and seeing what you can find. In this case, we've got some pretty good options here. So let's get D over here. Let's get rid of this threat almost immediately. Okay, so now we've got 2 on the way. We can get Caesar over here to search this car and this barrel. So you're basically always trying to take advantage of whatever the game provides for you. Much like you would in real life if you were actually scavenging for things. The desperation, the need to find good stuff is always there. And I kind of really appreciate that about the game. And I think it communicates it really well in a way that really shines through in the gameplay itself. So you're really trying to make tough decisions, on who to sacrifice, who to protect, who to let go, and leave behind. And sometimes there are moments where it's just like, especially once like dogs get involved, it can be real tough. So let's see what that is. Wait, so I can equip. Let's not equip the lighter. Let's pick this up. So this is new to me. I don't know what this does. Oops. So if you want, you can click on the character, and you can go to inspect. So book, interesting. Maybe you can trade it. So now we have the choice. Let's pick up the lighter, and let's drop the med kit. Let's pick up the book, because we already have a med kit in the car, worst case scenario. So I think we should be all right. And let's just get the hell out of here. What do you say, Caesar? Okay, so now we should have a clear shot at getting the heck out of here. Oops, switch over to D. Then we'll drive out. So that was a quick look at Overland. The game is out on PC, Mac, iOS, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. So many things. I'd highly recommend it if you're into something like Into the Breach or even Fire Emblem. I like the way Overland adds an interesting survival mechanic to tactical turn-based gameplay. I think it works really, really well. Anyway, this is Paul Tamayo. I'll see you next time. Peace.